Howdy. We're going to get started today, tonight, really, painting this Night Tyrant. I did a few little bits of assembly, including some magnets, to get started over the last few days. Primed this thing today because it finally was not raining here in New England for once. We're going to get it again very soon. So I had a tiny little window to scramble outside during my lunch break and spray a bunch of stuff. Scooch this guy a little bit. That's probably fine. No, it's really not. That's better. All right, now I'm actually in it. So basically, what I did was I primed it in Chaos Black and then Death Guard Green. This is going to be a Death Guard Chaos Knight. What I'm going to do is just do a bunch of base coats. So I'm going to start with Wraithbone and see how that goes. There's a lot of real estate here. I'm used to painting very, very tiny guys, but I've got this model here, which is one of my Plague Marines. I'm going to try to go to a similar motif, so you'll sort of see that like whitish aged sepia thing going on. And then green over there. So I'm going to do the same thing, but I'll probably mix it up kind of like it is on the box, where I'll do one color on one side of the shin. All of these split pieces, I'll do one color on each side, and see how that goes. When I get to this actual, well, I should start with this main carapace piece, which is the back of this guy. I'll alternate on these. I got to figure out what I'm going to do all in here. But we'll start with some Wraithbone. I'm actually going to leave this guy out for reference and inspiration. Kind of using some old beat up brushes a little bit on some of the bigger pieces of real estate. And yeah, this guy will do just fine. So away we go. Grab some of this, dab it on. I'm not being too bashful because I am painting a lot of space. Thin this out a little bit. Give that a second dab. Maybe just a drop more. Just to start with Wraithbone, thin it out quite a bit. That's too thin. There we go. This is going to get a ton of wash on it eventually, so I'm not too worried. In terms of like brush marking and stuff like that, this is probably getting 2 coats of this stuff. Yeah, this brush is pretty assertive. I'll go down to something a little smaller. I'm scared. I'm so scared to finally be painting this thing, but I am psyched as well. This is a big boy model. And I've absolutely covered it in brush marks right out the gate, so that's always good. That's too thin. Let's thicken you up, buddy. All right. It's so weird not having this thing on a handle. Anyway, you can see it's like absolutely coming through there, but that's fine. This first coat will just establish this white. Then over time, the second coat, it should fill in just fine. I know it's an excuse, but it's going to be a Death Guard model. So a little bit of creepy spillage is not the worst thing. Just pick up some more of this extra paint that's just lying around on here. There's an amazing amount of real estate that I'm painting. It's the biggest thing by far. When I got to the Plague Burst crawler that I did, I was like, oh my god, there's so much here. And that is nothing compared to this. It's all brush strokey. Oh, that's crazy. But we're going to do it. There's a first time for everything. God, it looks like someone paintbrushed their car right now. But I've learned to have a certain degree of faith in process, even though this is terrifying and new. It should work out in the end. So much space here. So I'm just being a bit careful. I'm not too worried because all of this like sort of filigree and edging is going to get some pretty thick metallics on it. So if I hit them a little bit, it's really not too big of a deal. Of course, if I stick my entire pinky finger on the part I just painted, that is a big deal. And I'm just trying to get in here, gently just get up to the edge, not go much further. That looks absolutely horrifyingly bad. This is every single time I've done this with Wraithbone at this step, I've been like, oh my God, what a mistake. And then later it ends up looking fine. That is pretty darn thick though. All right, let's loosen that up a little bit. Just go over, yeah. Once it starts to stick, then you can get a little bit more consistent with it. But it takes a bit of effort. I'll just sort of switch back to big brush and little brush. Get a little dab in there. Now the thing is, I am going to wash the daylights out of this after its second coat with Seraphim Sepia. So I should be pretty safe there. Do I want these to alternate? Or do I want to go front and back? Let's go front and back. Let me try this guy. So thick. So thick. But it's okay. That second coat is where it's going to be at. This is so awkward handling something that's actually fits in my hand. I have really big hands. I have like long, spindly, people say like pianist or doctor hands. Sadly, I don't have the agility to really do either of those things. I was a mediocre piano player when I was a little kid. But super tiny models, like starting with Poxwalkers, was like painful. And doing 30 of them was like brutal introduction to all things spiky, tentacly, and wicked tiny. I felt like Plague Marines were big when I finally moved up to them. This is like quite a treat. I hate this step. I genuinely hate it. It looks so bad. But in time, one thing you got to remember is the paint is going to soak it in. If you thin it enough, it does do a lot of soaking in. It's like staining. If you've ever stained a deck with something that isn't like a wood color stain, it's very much like that. As you're putting it on, it's like, and then it soaks in a little bit, makes its way around. This is definitely going to need 2 coats. I'm not getting around that, but I'm happy that my same amount of horror as when I was doing my Plague Marines is still setting in right now. A really cool model. I'm psyched to have this guy. He should stand up nicely and conveniently get me quarter of the way to having a full army. Would be nice because I would like to learn and play this game at some point. I am going to start with Combat Patrol, which I'm almost done. Almost done with my Combat Patrol. Which is pretty hype. I think whatever the other named guy who was in Typhus, that's my last guy there to finish up, and then I think I'm done. I might have to do an extra Plague Marine or 2 because I really just YOLO'd it with the weapons, and I'm not sure I should have done that. So the big question will be, and I can answer this a little bit later, is whether or not the entire top of this thing is going to get like a crazy green treatment or not. But I can now set that guy aside and start working on some of these shins. Go back to the big guy. Yeah, it really needs to soak in. I got so lucky with being able to prime these guys, these bits. It has been nothing but rain, rain, rain for a long time. And that is not good for priming at all. This is... Right, I'm going to be super careful in here. Dab there. And I'll just get up to the edge with a smaller brush in a minute. It's actually really nice having this in parts because I can do what I just did, which is like handle a couple bits there, let them just sort of sit and dry. I don't have all the time or patience in the world, and I have been known to sort of move forward a step. Things are still a little damp. So this is kind of good control for me. I think in the future when I do stuff like Plague Marines where they're coming in batches, I tried doing 4 and they were so different that it really messed with me, but I think 2 is kind of my magic number. I don't think I ever want to do big batch stuff, but having one be able to dry, you can sort of stay in the same step, get a little bit of consistency going, is probably the way to go. I don't actually know if that's me and my other computer watching me right now or not. I should tip myself, give myself a sticker. I got turned on today. This is just wild. Make that 45 cents of ad revenue. But I'll be thankful if for some reason ads pay for one model out of this entire army that I'm building. That would be an absolute blessing. It'd be hilarious. I think this is just so funny. All right, getting right in that edge. I did in a poll say that I would eventually do an entire Chaos Knights army. And while they're not my first love, as Death Guard is, because they're just rad, I can definitely see the appeal of big models. This guy's gonna look rad. I don't even think he'll sit properly on this. What, is this big enough? I have this little spinny thing that I got. He can sit on there. I can't do it yet because he's not based, but being able to have him sit in my little menagerie over here, spinning around with some good lighting on him, that'll feel good. All right, so I'm going to do this as opposing sides on the other shin guard. Oh, that's gloppy. This is just soaking straight in. That's awesome. All right. Yeah, coat number 1. Touch my brush again. A little more paint on this wet pad. Inside this time. Oh, Wraithbone, I use you so much. So I do have to decide, and maybe I'll just try a little bit and maybe give it a quick wipe. For the green parts, I do have Death Guard green primer on it now, and I can either go straight into this AK slimy dark green stuff that I love so much, but I might try putting a base down of Death World Forest. So I gotta make a call on that when I move to that step. The slimy green is good enough, I will know pretty darn fast. Love that stuff. It's just gross. And over the primer, it's pretty solid. Gently, gently, gently. Nothing but paint strokes. Oh, the hateful phase. Scooch my chair up a little bit. Settle in for a nice long ride. Well, my penmanship over there is terrible. I do want to be able to scribble stuff, but I gotta set it up in a way that actually fits my arm. I got my Cintiq sitting over there. I gotta make use of it. All right. Eyeballs don't fail me now. There we go. It's funny, I went to grab my paints for this phase. First sort of swing at this. And over at my other desk, where I was doing my recorded stuff before, this big old rack of all these different paints. And it's not like I paint all that much other than Death Guard. Like I've got like a couple Ultramarines, but I literally bought the beginner's box, which comes with like another thing in McCrag Blue. And all my other paints are for like Death Guard stuff, like a bunch of different colors for tentacles, for bone, for all kinds of stuff. And then for this guy, I was like, oh, that's right. There's no tentacles, there's no bones, there's no horns. I might add some stuff. I did, my first daily, I did get some green stuff, which I need to use to sort of buttress where the magnets are going to go. Because I got magnets in there, and inside the weapons, there's like that hole in there. I need to put some green stuff in there. I could do some, I think I'm just going to paint this guy as is, but I could do some green stuff craziness with it if I was feeling bold. The other idea I had today was get a heaping pile of Nurglings and just have them all over this thing. Nurglings everywhere, as far as the eye can see. You really bummed that. All right. This in this weird cod piece. I do need some Nurglings for my army. I ended up with like enough points for one little squad of those guys. That's going to be necessary. Required piece of tactical equipment. I should grab a Q-tip or two. Save myself from myself here. Alrighty. Gently. I need a new set of eyes. But I'm in there. I'm in there. Yeah, it's all right. It's not great. It's good enough for government work. Set that guy aside. Then get down to business here. Yeah, let's do it. Good job, shaky hands McGee. Scooch this over just a bit. As I sit here and mumble, I should speak into the mic a little bit at least. If I'm going to sit here by myself and paint. Alright, it's just these little nooks that are a pain. There we go. There we go. Brush a little turn, little twist. And away we go. I was pretty pleased with the updates to the Death Guard rules that I think been out for, I don't know, was it been about a week? No, just a few days, right? I don't remember. Time flies. Been very busy at work. But it seems like a step in the right direction. Of course, I haven't played, but I have spent a lot of time reading the rules. It seems significantly less boring now to play this faction. That is going to be close enough for now. Let's go. Get a little dab in there more. Good to go. There's going to be a lot of metallic work on this thing. I'm pretty sure some people just spray these guys metallic to start. But that ain't me. That ain't me. I don't have any metallic primer. And I need all the practice I can get. Literally. Do wish I had more time for this. It's funny, I'm taking some time off in October. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to sit in this room and paint models. Paint some toy soldiers. Bliss of being old. Oh, I janked that. Good buddy. There we go. Get right in that little dot. Right in there. Still scary. Very enjoyable, but still pretty scary to me to be painting these guys. I've learned a lot that you can sort of like take a step back and it's okay, and I've screwed some stuff up pretty badly and managed to like make the best of it. I shouldn't really worry too much about this edging because that's going to get warp lock bronze, which is thick and dark. A lot of stuff on here is going to get warp lock bronze. Basically what I'm going to do is for the actual machine work, that'll be lead belcher. But for anything that's more ornate, any of the edging stuff, I'll probably hit the outside of these mufflers with it too because it's just a dope color. Yeah, it'll be fun. Warp lock bronze and lead belcher. And the whole color scheme I just got to by painting my other models. And I've just kind of come to like it and used it quite a bit. I've used it on practically everything except for, well, obviously there's 30 poxwalkers, but those guys got their kind of own treatment. But once I got to my plague marines, they've all kind of gotten a similar form of this treatment. Do I dare? Do I dare? Do I dare? Sure I dare. Just get this thing a little cleaner. Time to test this slimy green stuff. Do I need anything first? I should wash this guy off a little bit. So I always go back and forth on what I'm doing with this AK slimy green. Let me grab some Q-tips. I'll be right back. By right back, I'm literally going across the room. and a beat up brush because this slimy grime dark stuff absolutely plays havoc with brushes. So I've made it a habit because I use a lot of this stuff that I actually use. These green brushes I just basically reuse for my slimy grime dark habit. It's just not go on this wet palette because it goes all over the place. But it's really good stuff. You know what? Multimedia. Let's do this. Let's erase this crap. I need a bigger eraser. Yeah, that's good enough. It's a blackboard. Okay. A-K. Learn to spell. Can you tell it's been a long day? Slimy. Dark. Grime. There we go. Good enough. Let's do this. So this stuff goes directly in its own little disgusting bowl. It's swamp water. Straight up swamp water is what we are putting on this model. And you can see it's a little chunky in there. It's all good. There's a lot of material. A lot of errant material in there. Oh yeah, it's going to be great just right over that primer. So I end up using this like somewhere halfway between a paint and a wash because it is so thin. You just see it creeping over this thing. Oh, but it's a beautiful color. It's an absolutely gorgeous color. I got to be super careful with these shin guards. They're not actually on there all that good. It's got all this great material in there. It does sneak into crevices and stuff. It slides. It is slimy. It's absolutely slimy. Oh yeah, it's looking fantastic. But you got to put it on there pretty liberally because not a lot of pigment. It's just a lot of like tiny little bits in there to make it not really a paint. It's amazing though. I'll paint my house like this. And what you'll get as the paint moves around and settles and eventually dries, you get this like, I want to say it's not the matter of it being a matte finish. It's more that like it's got good inconsistency to it. Like you can see it's absolutely welling up there. That's a huge piece. And eventually this will get a wash over it, like maybe like Agrax, maybe Nuln Oil. Maybe if I'm feeling wild, I do have to try this at some point. I've got this crazy varnish stuff. Sparkly. Make it look like the warp. Might just do that. We'll see. I might actually do that over the warp lock bronze so it gets a weird otherworldly sheen to it. All right, these footies. I'm going to hold off on the footies for now. Just do the rest of these bits. You can even see in the bowl, like, all the little fiddly bits that are in there just start sloshing around. There's whole chunks, big old globbly chunks in there. I don't know how long a jar of this stuff lasts, but probably not forever. So slimy. I love this stuff. And even though I'm mostly prime wise, I'm much darker on this side. On the inside, it's much closer to black because I very intentionally sprayed it at certain angles so I could feel professional. It still comes through as gross green stuff. Oh, I love you. Soak in there. Swamp water. Absolutely swampy. There you go. It's actually really easy to get into those weird corners with it because you just dab it like it's a wash and it just finds its own way in there. Boop. Every once in a while, I use a Wraithbone primer, and that stuff's really, as a prime, it's like super thick, and this stuff just gets sucked in one run. Goes bye-bye. You have to put a lot of this stuff on there because it just gets soaked up. Yeah, that whole plate's getting the green. I love this stuff. Lay it on there. Oh, that was a ton, but it'll do. It'll do. Yeah, this thing absolutely looks like it's going to be one of those nights that Mortarion drags along in the Plague Wars. So good. And it is okay. I mean, you don't want to go super nuts, but it is okay to lay it on pretty heavy if the plastic, if the resin's soaking it up properly. All right, alternate on these guys. Yeah, we will alternate. Yeah, I think this is going to be a good scheme. Oof, yeah, that's some thick primer there. He's going right in. I love it, love it, love it. I may actually hit this stuff with a second coat of this slime. We'll see. It might not need it. It's absolutely one of the things that needs to dry before you can really tell. You kind of need to give it a little bit of a stir with your brush every so often. That is green goodness, though. Oh, yeah. It's tight. Tight. Looks very organic. Let me get the front of these guys. I have a feeling I'm going to go pretty green on this thing. Straight up swamp Kermit. And the white will just offset it and give it a little bit of contrast, which would be good. Don't just want to, I do want to dunk this whole thing in just this slimy green stuff, but I'm not gonna. Having a couple little spots that pop nicely will be good. You get a little bit of that checkered banner element, even though it's a very sad night. Not sad, just very chaotic night. Still good to get that sort of checkerboard nightly banner theme going. So grimy. In that case, well, I gotta get this side no matter what. Flip this guy around. So much model. I wonder, I should probably set a timer as far as how long it's going to take me so I could just record how long it takes me to get this whole model done. But I'm never the kind of person that would actually remember to do that. I wanted to do that with my Poxwalkers too. I was like, how long would it take? But I think part of it would just kind of ruin it. This is like stress inducing stress relief. It's the end of the day, just chilling in my office, being creative, painting my toys. All right. So yeah, big question. Is they just go blue on the whole thing? That's wild. If I want to do that, I don't know. I don't know. Let it sink in. These guys I can do white though. And then all this could be green. Yeah, it's weird. So much real estate. All right, we're definitely going green on the guns. Definitely going green on the guns. And boop, they stick right on there. They come right off. Because I got magnets. And my magnets just came off, which means I got to redo my magnets. I also got bigger magnets, so there's that. I do need to have a better solution for that. That was funny. Do that right on camera, right on cue. Watch my magnets come off. C'est la vie. All right, so that would be metal, metal, metal. This main face, yeah. This will get a good glopping. I love it. Getting swampy. Look at that. So pretty. So pretty. Not too worried about going over the line. Once again, that's going to get a bunch of dark metallic stuff going on. So I don't need to freak about that. Truth be told, a lot of my just nascent methods are about keeping it chill. Not having to worry too much about certain levels of missteps. I like to have fun doing this. I really do. Probably have to dunk that whole underside, but that's fine for now. Got my Geist Strike missiles sticking to each other. Oh yeah, I super need a different solution to get those magnets to stay on. Oof. Second one just came off. That's a sign. That is a sign. So I do have magnets, but they're not on there good. And that's something very important I need to remember before this guy gets fully assembled. I should take those magnets back down. Yeah, they're all coming off. Ha! Good thing I'm slow and didn't power through it. I need a better gluing solution. It's weird. I'm using modeling glue. I would have thought that it would stick, but apparently I need something else. If you have any idea, anyone out there, what kind of glue would be better than the stuff I used to put the model together, I'd be all ears to hear about it. All right, slimy, slimy. All right, you look slimy. Perfect. I will handle these feet. And some of this, I'm just going to go over the whole thing, each of these quad feet. Some of them will get some metallic difference so stuff pops. That doesn't really matter right this second. These guys are going to need to dry for a while. A lot of little cracks and crevices. So I'm just going to lay it on there. The other thing is that I've never tried streaking grime, but I literally want to invest in AK at this point just because of this slimy green stuff. But you know what? I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna order some. I'm like such a huge fan of this one product they make that I should just try everything they've got. There's some sort of technique with using streaking grime. Like I haven't like watched a whole video on it. It's a little bit out of my league, but I should just learn to do it. Especially with a model this size, it's like got large sections. Um, like the set, like if you did tank models that are like big honking ones, you want to get that streaking grime in. I mean, I know people do it on tiny models too. It's amazing. All right, that's happening. Thank you for the tip. Literal magic. Excellent. It calls to the warp. Yeah, this guy will probably get that sort of treatment. I'm due for a new paint. Typhus Corrosion was like, and that and Rise of Rust were like a revelation to me when I first got them. And then now I'm using for a lot of my Rust stuff, I'm actually using Viejo because it's got like a sort of, they had one kit that was a little bit of an array of different Rust colors, which is kind of neat. So I could just kind of dab through them or even mix them, which is really cool. But nothing quite gets, Rise of Rust is like the bright one for me that's sort of like the ringer to make things pop. But I am definitely, with how much I love this swamp mud, I really need to get into grime. I definitely picked the army for it, for sure. And howdy, Lizard. Happy to have you back. Hope your day has gone well. Mine was pretty good. I put some shelves together in this office so I can properly store more of this Warhammer stuff safely for when my cats get in here. What you have to do, you have to work around cats. Got to work with them, work around them. I got a bunch of bins so that I'm not that person who's like, you're an animal, look what you did. It's like, that's what cats do. Be prepared. Speaking of being prepared, I guess I'm getting hit with a hurricane tomorrow or something like that. That'll be exciting. Let's see here. Oh, man, this green is dope. I'm gonna paint my children with this color. Yeah, glad it's Friday. You got it, boss. It has been a week. My week next week's a little wild too. I'm gonna be working a lot. Working into the night. Not crunching per se, but we got a lot of stuff on our plate with the project we're working on. It's time to get some stuff moving. And if I'm going to tell other people I want them to work extra hard, then I got to be there too. Otherwise, I am a coward. And I don't believe in that. I'm starting to mumble. I'm talking to myself. I got to drink some tea. Get my wits back about me. That good old Earl Grey. Yeah, I am. I'm very happy it's Friday. Very much so. All right, I gotta get this panel and that panel. I really should have sprayed this section with lead belcher as a primer. This is going to be so much brushing, but that's fine. That's what I'm here for the enjoyment of it. So much machinery under the hood. But I am learning. I did promise to do a whole Chaos Knights army, so I have reason to come back and get a bunch of, at least get one rattle can of lead belcher. Do they even make lead? They have to. It's got to be lead belcher, I would guess. If you're doing, as I think to myself, think out loud. If they were doing if you're doing an AdMech army, I'm guessing you probably prime stuff in metallic. Does that even make sense? It does to me. Get a lot of stuff done, then just do red over a couple parts. Should look that up too. Like Gray Knights, that must just be like spray, put a couple little colors on there, and call it. Dry brush metallic. Yeah, that is a good call. You know, as long as we're making good calls, I'm right here. I did. I wonder if I could just get away with dry brushing the daylights out of this metallic crap under here. I mean, at least as a start, as a like first bit, it's gonna get grimed as all hell. I'm not leaving it clean metal. It's not gonna be all. I mean, obviously this thing's gotten a wash too, but it has not gotten a proper Death Guard washing. You know what? I could even sloppy dry brush it. That's my favorite way to dry brush. Poor technique. Let's see. That's where to do it. Yeah, this guy's probably a good excuse to get started with it. I will see what happens. I can grab, use it nice. I got my lead belcher. I'll get a little section of stuff that I dry brush off of. It's like artist board. Brush and a brush. Anything else I need while I'm up? And some Alright. I've completely wrecked this place. I am back. So another thought crossed my mind. I could try just sponging. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'll start with dry brushing. Leave those scissors over there too. Move my grime over. That grime can just sit there. I don't even wash that thing out. And once in a while, you add some more grime on top of it. Picks up some extra grit. It's good stuff. All right, so this will be an experiment. I'll give this guy a shake. Thank you, Lizard Wizard. This may be awesome. All right. I'm not very good at dry brushing, but I'm not sure how much that matters. This brush is not exactly the cleanest thing ever, but around, around, around. Wow, that is. Careful with your thumbs. Experiment away. That is not too freaking shabby. That is not too shabby at all. That is. I need to get better at dry brushing, but it's certainly looking dope. So that's just me manhandle dry brushing. Let's see if I can put this in the actual shot. Versus the other side. I mean, that's rad. I should probably keep the model in the shot, homie. Oh, that's really good. I've never really had much of an opportunity to. Well, I guess I did. I played Bridge Crawler would have been an opportunity for that, but when it's made out of meat, not as big an opportunity. Yeah, I know, right? We're not playing around, wizard. It's fast too. And the other thing is, like, there is stuff that I'm gonna hit with other metallics, but like this is a baseline is just rocking. Now I see what the craze is about. I've only ever really dry brushed much on blades and stuff, and I cover mine in so much rust anyway that like really just dry brushing super orange on it. This is crazy cool. I learned something because I went online and I painted things in front of folks that know things. That's my song. I mean, even over that green, which, you know, this is going to be covered, it's still pretty solid. This is what happens when you paint with friends. All right. So, sure there's not too much on it. Yes, a pile of it on there. I'm getting excited. I'm leaving so much on this dry brush. Everything pops out. Everybody's happy. Look at that. That is just brilliant. I love when I learn something new. You just add it to your toolbox. This is crazy. I feel like I also just saved like 5 hours of work. Thank you very much. Like, there's plenty of this that I'm going to go over with different stuff, but man, as a baseline, that is hype. Brilliant. Brilliant. You're a keeper. I wish I could tip you right now. That is a revelation. I might have to hit that with my smaller brush to get in there. Wow. It's like instant results. I don't know how much I'm going to need to slap chop, only because I'm just going to cover all my stuff in so much grime and dirt. But I did watch, I think it was the like original video of the guy who's first sort of posited it, and it's really smart stuff. It really is. I just wonder if I'd be wasting my time considering eventually I'm just going to get a huge just bucket full of Nuln Oil and just dunk everyone in there like a savage. I'm kidding. I would never do that. But yeah, I should get into it. Well, like most of my painting style is as if I was like getting the Crayolas out. But this is finally like big enough where I can like see the effect that it's happening. I have tried dry brushing quite a bit, and it does like it absolutely has worked even super tiny, but like I can barely get regular brushes to do their thing. I'm gonna need a tinier brush to get into some of those spots, but not this minute. Oh yeah, good stuff. Everybody's turning to metal. So cool. Man, this brush is gonna be beat to death. This poor guy. I'm like already losing bristles on him because I'm just might as well hold it like that. So cool though. Looking good. Looking like it wasn't even me that did it. All right, where was I? Get that little bristle off of there. it is funny how sort of set in your ways you get when you, even when you're just like brand new, like I am. Like I've done enough Death Guard stuff where like I feel comfortable doing it, but like doing an Ultramarine was like being a fish out of water. Like I can't wait to get into some orc stuff someday. I've killed like four of them, yeah, no doubt. Um, just all the different interesting technique and style. Like I just get more and more respect for people that like are like, yeah, I'm on my fourth army, and it's not just a matter of the bulk of work that they've done, like the body of work. It's like once you start painting, you realize how much of sort of an endless amount of learning there is involved in it. And when someone's like, I'm on my fourth army, you're like, whoa, and you have just you have put your time in, buddy. It's just neat. I'd like to thank all my forefathers who figured all this stuff out. I mean, that is. You have to learn to keep this thing in the shot. That is pretty darn metallic. I got a little in there. It's good enough for now to start. I'm gonna grab my tiny brush. And you can see this guy's seen some rise of rust in his day. All right, swirl it around. This way I can get into these little nuts and bolts and bits. Oh, we are having fun. Fun, fun, fun. All right. I think I can probably pause on that piece. That is cool. That is really, really cool. No paint on hands. Always a good sign. Now, I've not been all that kind to my brushes. Truth be told, I do go through a lot of them. I went through, like, I've learned to be a lot better to them, but I had the entire phase of like not knowing that you're really not supposed to get brush paint all the way up to the end of the thing, and that's what makes them fray. Like, I've got, sure, why not? Why not paint on your Cintiq, buddy? I'll actually go to this camera. That guy's nice and frayed. So now I just use brushes like this for like absolute combat duty, like shiny veneers, and a lot of time the slimy green stuff, I'll use one of those guys for it. Now that I know a little better, my brushes last a bit longer. But it was quite the process. I absolutely murdered a ton of brushes on those poxwalkers. They have so many spiky bits and whatever, and the the little threads of the brush just get caught in there. There's just like not much you could do about it. Not a whole heck of a lot. I mean, there is if you know what you're doing, but I didn't. Still had fun though. Still got it done. Oh, this is hella fun. I'm probably appalling some amount of people with how lazily I'm doing this, but I'm like way overdoing the effect. Like I'm laying it on so hard right now, but it looks crazy good. And I do know all of this shiny's coming down. That I know for a fact. Um, once once the washes come out, I kind of have to overdo it a little bit. I want this thing to look like it's been trucking through the swamp. Very cool. Very cool. I'm really worried about these shin guards. I gotta be super careful with them. They're wibbly wobbly. All right. Yeah, this just gives it a beautiful baseline. It's funny, I knew I was going to be a brush destroyer when I started, and I proved it out real fast. Though I did stick by my Citadel beginner brush for quite some time. Still got it. Still got the first one, which I think is a better beginner brush than what came in the Ultramarines little mini set thing. Um, but as soon as I got started, I could just tell I was beating the daylights out of every brush, and I didn't buy like nice brushes, but I bought one of those like bulk packs of a bunch of different sizes. I was like, I really need to get more comfortable with these guys. I just wasn't feeling it. Always hesitant. Switch brushes. I still switch brushes a lot. That's not the worst sign, but I still don't feel like I feel like I have a decent understanding of paint. Don't feel like I have a decent understanding of brushes. I'll just put that on there because it's cool in case this guy comes apart. Like I never know if I'm using the right tool for the job when it comes with brushes. Look at you, sloppy boy. You're doing good. Yeah, certainly looking like space metal. Certainly looking like space metal. If it works, it works. Amen. You know what? That's pretty much the entire theme of my channel. If it works, it works. And it is so true. Like, have a good time. And if it works, it works. There's very few things in life that doesn't apply to. Words of wisdom. All right. I feel good about that. I don't think I'm going to use the same treatment on the weapons. The weapons are going to be a little wild. Well, though as a baseline, it's probably not the worst thing. These are straight up black. You know, let's just do this. While we're sitting here, I'm going to give this guy another shake. Oh, I'm learning so much. Boink. And jab some of that off of there. You are a little strong, buddy. Oh yeah, it's wicked strong. Way too much. Or just enough, depending on how you look at it. I mean, lo and behold, it ends up kind of looking like brushed steel. Amazing. Oh, that's right. Whew, I thought I broke it. Oh, that thing still pivots. Easy there, buddy. Looking good. Man, I should have done this with a lot of the terrain stuff that I did. So the funny thing is, as far as dry brushing goes, I've literally only, this is going to sound silly, but I've literally only used it as like a finishing thing. Like I sit there and I paint like a single model for like 14 hours. And then I'm like, oh, I guess I'll brush on it after I'm done. And doing it to start is just like what people do apparently. Oh, look at, can't get those hours back. I don't want them back. I was learning then too, and I'm not going to solely do this everywhere, but for this model, this is like, man, it's just wild. I'm not going to say it's cheating, but man, does it feel like it's a lot of mileage you get out of this. Look at that. And I'm like, honestly, I know I'm not really doing it actually like how someone who's good at this would do it, and it's still just like brilliant. This is one of those like, who let the plebs in the building techniques? Like I've watched videos of people who are like masterful at this, but I've never had so much metally stuff to do till I got this. Easy. What is OSL? By the way, I should fix this thing. OSL. I don't know why this eraser is so small, and I don't want to fix it live. So we'll just go. Object source lighting, like plasma glow. Oh, plasma glow. Now we're talking. Who did I have? I had someone. I got someone somewhere. Oh yeah, I did dry brush this guy after the fact. My Dusty McGee, my tally man. I definitely didn't get a glow on him, but I did paint some blue on him. That doesn't have lighting on it. A little bit of glow there, but I object source lighting. That's cool stuff. I dry brushed the daylights out of this dude to make him look dusty. Well, as long as I'm in your dojo right now, which apparently I am, I don't think this radiator makes sense. Maybe it does. They do anything? They did. They colored that guy. Is this technically a plasma weapon? I don't know. But I do have this big honking, this whole thing, and these little definitely look like plasma tubes. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I will. And I'm glad I showed up to my own channel today. Thank you very much. I will say that it is working. Like, part of the huge part of this whole reason that I started this up, I was like, I'm probably going to learn a lot from other people if they show up. Like, I don't expect to really be teaching anyone anything. I do hope I'm making people more comfortable with this stuff, but like, I don't expect to be an educator. But I was like, people are probably going to tell you what you're doing wrong or what other cool things you could do. And man, this Tonight's session is 100% that. Object source lighting. Oh man, my lead be belching. Painting on light that emits from an object or source. Yeah, I've seen it done. I've not watched like a tutorial on how to do it, but I definitely should. I find that this is like a really good opportunity because these are such big pieces that I have more space to play. Not play, but like with that tally man, his gun is so tiny. It's like I'm not clumsy, but yeah, you can drop whatever you want in chat. You're the MVP of this chat right now. Want to see something funny? So let's see here. Pop this thing open. What's this? Hopefully you find this ironic. I just tipped you. Of course, I'm keeping the money, but thanks a bunch. What a good night to learn to paint. I think it's funny. I just got the message today saying that I could turn this crap on. You're quite welcome. You earned it. I'm like taking a class right now by showing up to my own stream. That is basically how my sense of humor works. Is stuff like that. $5 for a good piece of humor and a thank you. Well spent. Good times. Okay, so that is shined up. I probably should do up this guy's face. I'm just gonna turn everything silver now. Turn me into an AdMech convert. I mean, everything. There is a lot of. It is a mech. It should have a lot of metal stuff on it. I'm a dry brushing addict. Dry brush my house, my car, my children. Look at that. Man, this is insane. Like such a caveman. Like, oh, look at this technique that you've heard 1,000 times, and you finally do it, and you're like, oh, oh. Guys, both green. This guy can get a little bit on the back side of this, just for laughs. Here. People were all right. You all knew this whole time. This was the jam. Yeah, don't be too crazy with it, buddy. There we go. That's nice. I am actually, I know, dunking this guy seems horrific, but I am going to do it. I'm going to stop myself from dry brushing the universe. Move on to a couple other little things because I can get some coats of other stuff in. I do want to do that while I'm here. So I'll just dunk this guy a bit. Oh yeah, you are just laden with all that good dry brush and paint. Be a good citizen. Get some of this out of here. That's good enough for rock and roll. I do actually soap these brushes up. Basically put them down. I got a tray over there that I lay them in so that they're sitting so that they're not leaning on anything. They got a little bit of soapy water in them. But getting a bunch of material out at the beginning is good. BRB. I can't close this window, but it doesn't matter. All right, so if you're wondering why I have some weird tie-dye looking fidget spinner, I am going to now start experimenting on a place that is entirely safe on this model because it's going to be covered up. But I got a few small bottles of this SMS. They're acrylic lacquers. And I'm curious if I can get away with using this stuff without peeling all the paint off. They got a bunch of tilt shift stuff in them. And the whole point of this guy is that I can put paints in here and then just let them dry out when they're done, and then you just pop this thing and the paint comes out. So they're actually little good paint cups that are reusable as opposed to using a straight up plastic one, especially because so much of the paint ends up soaking through. That you, like I would, what I used to do is I'd take a plastic palette tray, I'd spray it down with Death Guard green so that I could see what I was adding to it, what it would do. I didn't do white on those sides. But eventually you've got so many layers there that whatever color you're putting on there just straight up soaks through in a way that makes it hard to judge what it's going to look like. Oh, look at that stuff, that gloppy, sloppy stuff. All right. Get myself a fresh paper towel. Give this guy a little wipe. Advanced dark copper. Oh my god, that is fumy. I am going to be high as a kite if I sit in here constantly doing this. It is lacquer. Of course, I'm still going to do it. But, let's see, grab one of these. Yeah, I could use this brush. Sure, why not? Do I have another beater? Yeah, this guy's maybe a little better. Nah, I'll use this. So I want to see how this stuff tracks. And this ball is going to be underneath everything. So I'm going to take this opportunity to paint this thing in, learn how the flow of the paint works, or lacquer in this case. I know it's supposed to be airbrushed. I know that. But I'm not good at following orders. I want to see how it looks. And then what I may also do is grab some of it and let's see here. It definitely has a really interesting sheen to it. Do I need to mix this more? I need to get an airbrush. Oh, stop buying things. I'm so hyped over this hobby. There we go. Oh, it looks way too thick. I don't even know. Does water, can you even thin lacquer with water? I don't even think you can. I'm in like weird territory. So that looks very brushy. So that is the first risk. Strong stuff. But if I continue this grand experiment, what is a piece that is safe? Yeah, I got another piece that's safe. I do this a lot with models. I find a spot that doesn't matter. I also do it, I think I've said this before, but I'll do it with old pieces of sprue. You just test paints on them. So that way you're at least using the right material on them. Okay. But that does have a neat shine to it. This should be crazy. Flip this guy over. Make sure I'm going to pay attention basically anywhere inside this box. I can paint for free. Not worry about anybody seeing it. Without any further ado, I don't know why I just did. It's basically nail polish. Tip one out for you homies. This one is pearl olive green. Once again, something you're not supposed to brush on, but something I am going to absolutely brush on. Oh snap, that looks, I don't think the camera's possibly going to capture how wild that looks, even brushed. Hopefully I'm not taking up the primer on this, but this is really quite neat. If I just lay it on there like it's straight up wash. I did do it. I think I did. I think I laid on enough where I actually took some of the primer off. Okay, it will do that. But if I was a gentle person, it wouldn't. Good to know. Yeah, this stuff absolutely just is eating that paint up. If I dab it, there's got to be a way to do this. Okay, it is absolutely taking the paint up. But that very first attachment I did to it, I don't think, it probably just looks wet on camera. But it's very shiny. There's got to be a way I could do this. I could probably sponge that on. I do want to use that a lot. Let's try to compromise with the light here. It's got a crazy sheen to it. So, all right, that is a good experiment. It didn't go as crazy with the dark copper. Fumey. But if I can find a way to get that shine to work, it would be pretty darn rad. Question is how. Thing is, I can move. I'm just gonna get some of this paint out of these guys so I'm not just huffing lacquer this whole time and losing brain cells. But if I can find a way to get that stuff to work, I definitely am, because it is cool. And if I can find a way to get a camera to properly show how dope it is on a stream, I'll do that too. Shiny even on the paper towel. That's for another time. All right, so I'm going to finish up. There's a few more spots that I need to do in white, so I'm just gonna get to those right now because I'm here. And I always notice spots that I don't do. And I'll do my second coat of white on places that I've already done it because I know it needs it. Oh, shiny that bolt is. Like lustrous. Alright. More white. Which two brushes was I using? I was using this guy and this guy. Water. I wasn't using that guy. Definitely wasn't. It was this guy. Yeah. Alright. Back in business. It is really interesting to me that Wraithbone paint, as it sits on the palette, eventually a bunch of it separates. There's like black in it, like something near black color, like a very dark gray just sitting in it, and it separates out because of the water. Like paint mixing is just really interesting to me. I wonder if that's why Wraithbone in a can also performs very differently, because they do have to make these things chemically different to get the colors right. And like Wraithbone on a muggy day, if it's like rained out, you don't shake it for like 8 years. It comes out really thick and pasty, which I used somewhat to my advantage for my Tallyman. I wanted him to look dusty. So with his prime being pretty thick, it ended up like almost like a super matte finish. Super matte. There's like no shine on him. He absolutely looked dusty. And then I dry brushed him to look dustier afterwards. I don't really do stuff in half measures. Apparently, I'm doing a terrible job here, but it's okay. Warp Lock Bronze is going to save that whole bit. Sure. Just start out a little bit. Is that even the right thing to do? I don't know. Yeah, it was. Okay. And you out. There we go. Gently. Good enough. And we'll continue. Second coat, the bigger brush. The second coat can actually be relatively super thin. It's just going to get things, yeah, more consistent. There we go. Looking a bit less brushy. A decent hunking amount of water. Just sort of. There we go. Get it to just, oh, that's way too much. Save me, Q-tips. We don't want to lose that depth. Don't want to lose it. And a little more pigment, more water. don't care a ton about the edges. I'll get that out of those grooves again. But I'll take my other brush and just move the stuff around. And I do realize on camera that looks amazingly thick, but it's amazingly watered down. Something's amazing about it. There we go. And then this guy, just keep pushing it in a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Now it's going to kind of smooth out a little. I do got to get some of that gunk out of those cracks. Q-tip to the rescue. Just touch it on there and suck all that stuff up. All right, moving right along. Question is, do I throw some washes on this before I do the warp lock bronze or not? I don't know. I'm also starting to regret setting this thing up considering I don't update it, but I'll get better at that. Trusty blackboard. All right, I am going to green this thing up. It's been decided. There's going to get a lot of green on this thing. I do like how it's drying. There's a pretty solid matte to it. That's not the right brush. The brush you care about is green. And I do need to clean these guys off a little bit better. Running ragged. That little dunk. Give this guy a dunk. It's not easy being green. There you go, buddy. Close that one up. We'll look at what we got in here. Give it a shake. Get all the material moving. And away we go. All right, so actually, I will use this little whiteboard for something smart. My homework. OSL. Streaking grime. That's actually what I use that for most often during the days. I just write notes to myself, my job. It's nice because you can just make a new layer. Just make them, and then if you ever need to send your notes to someone, you just wrote them out by hand. Easy peasy. Yeah, it's glopping the screen on. Get in there, grime. Do your thing. Yes, find your way in. Don't need to get that far around it because that will be bronze eventually. This part does feel a little lazy, but when I get over it with the metallic trim on it, it should pop nicely. So much space to paint. So neat. that big old chunk of stuff on there. There we go. Get you off of there. I do love you, but there's a certain limit to how much chunkiness you want on there. Oh, what a treatment. Moss bath. Take a bunch. Thanks a bunch, Lizard. Excellent tips. I'm going to look that stuff up and give it a shot. Thanks for hanging out, and have a great night. Here we go. So much slimy green. You go. Stretch my back out a little bit. What a fun session. I learned a bunch. There we go. That's looking good. Those panels will get something different. Obviously, that Death's Head gets its own treatment. These nubbins will get something different. Should probably paint those white. Shoulder things should be white. Yeah, that's definitely true. All right. I think I definitely set this piece aside to dry. Check my timing here. Wash or not to wash. I think a lot of this needs to soak in. So on that note, I am going to call it a night for tonight. Let some of this wetness get in there, do its magic, its overnight magic as the paint soaks in. Then tomorrow, God, I hope tomorrow it'll be a lot of edge work that'll be in bronze, and then some washing. Thanks a bunch for hanging out. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.